Welcome back to the Real Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. I hope you guys are having a great week. Welcome on back to my podcast. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button for me. I'd really appreciate that. Let's get these subscriptions up for your boy. Hit the like button for me, everybody on the way in, so I can help me fight the algorithms. Yeah, I'd really appreciate that. I'm at a point now where I'm really ready to really grow this channel more and really to take this podcast to the next level. So I really appreciate you guys hit the subscription button for me and subscribe. Hit the like button for me. Share this content for me. I'd really appreciate that. Yeah, like I said, ready to take this to the next level. You can see I got a new studio now and a new setup and stuff like that. So, but also my content will be different as well. I'll still be doing a lot of the same things. Obviously my main baseline of this channel, my main foundation, my main purpose on this channel is my story and helping others with anxiety and panic disorder and any mental health type of areas from my experience of going through it for 9 years and overcoming it holistically and basically on my own and by the power and grace and of God. But um with that being said, though, I'm at a point now where I've really last year was the most I ever grew in my life and really overcoming a lot of things for good. And so a lot of what you see on my channel so far has really just been, a lot of my content, my podcasts and stuff like that has really just been kind of basic, kind of a small little warm up to what I really wanted to do all on and the guest I want to have on that I am going to have on. And kind of more just my different type of content and eventually elevate us to a different, setup as well. A lot of it's just based more on just my comfort level with it. So, and really, when I started doing this almost 2 years ago in April, it happened so fast. It took me a while, guys, to really get comfortable in front of the mic and really to, talk to people. And, it's a little uncomfortable first when you go on and tell people about your story and how far you've come and all, and just kind of break down a lot of personal things. So it's taken me a while, but also just, like I said, it's my own comfort level. I had a lot of things I was still battling through in 2022 and, last year in 2023, I had a lot of different things I was working through, figuring out a lot of first time things for me and just in my own personal life, which kind of, personally, if you're working through some things, my podcast is not going to be the best at times because I'm not at my 100% peak, but I always did the best I could. And then, I know a lot of you guys appreciate some of the content I put out, especially back then. So, yeah, I'm at a point now though where I'm a lot more comfortable just where I am and just a lot more free. And with that being said, it will help me be able to do more things with my show, the things I really wanted to do all along. So, which I kind of expected. The more, the more I grow as a person, the more I grew from where I came from and moved past that, the bigger, better, and bigger the show will become. So, um, yeah, I mean that's and this, like I said, it's what I expected because I mean when you're away for 7 years not being around anybody, my friendships and relationships suffered and a lot of this relationship suffered. Just people didn't see me for 7 years. I was away, so it's kind of like I just came out of the blue and just started from the complete bottom with this thing, and moving it, moving and grooving and moving up towards keep it pushing and trying to grow it more and more. But I expected to be where I'm at now. So, um, like I said, just because of more of my growth and me being comfortable doing this. So, but now, like I said, now I'm at a point going through the inner circle program last year, getting the help I needed and overcoming a lot of things. And, I'm just at a point now. I'm ready to take things to the next level and uh, get, which is, greater and better content for you guys, which is most important. A lot more help and resources for you guys, especially in the mental health realm, and a lot more fun content as well with sports. I'm happy to say Saturday night after the Browns disappointing loss, we had our highest rated live show ever. So I appreciate all you guys for that. It means the whole world to not only myself but to my family, even the guys contributing on the show. Jeremy and Dan and Chris that were on the other night. It really means a lot to all of us. I really appreciate that. We had almost over 300 people watching us live. So with Facebook combined, and YouTube. Yeah, we really appreciate you guys. That was awesome the other night. Interacted with new people. We had random guys coming up. Shout out the Steelers freak. Um, we've had some other great people just pop in. Who was the other guy we had on? I think it was on our live. Oh, Bushrod Davis. Shout out to Bushrod. We got some cool little. It's kind of cool now to have like your own little like. We have our own like people now that are kind of like part of our shows now in the comment sections, and we have our own little like I don't know community growing here. So we'll call it the real community. Which kind of what it is. Even like guy like Steelers freak, you could tell just he was just a real dude. Get to know him the other night. Served in the army, and shout out to him. Thank you for your service, number one, but also thank you for tuning in the other night and for the subscription as well, and you know share this content and keep pumping it out there. We appreciate that from all you guys. But yeah, getting to know people. We have a real community here growing, just with the podcast, with our contributors, with you guys. Shout out to my man James Jones, Umbre. Uh, yeah, we're doing a lot of cool things over here, so let's keep doing it together. And shout out to my man Dennis Simsek, the anxiety guy as well. Just launched his new website. You'll see me on the website as well. I got a testimony on there and a couple other I think my testimonial videos on there as well as many other great people. So go check out that website. I'll link it. It'll be down in the description below for any anxiety help and resource. That's definitely the place to go. Shout out to Dennis. I know him and I have been talking as well, periodically. I know he's been moving. he moved to Greece a couple months ago, I think it was, and then fortunately, we had some circumstances. Now he's moved to Dubai, so he had to move again. So he's been, you know, traveling all over the last couple months, trying to settle in him and his family. So, but they're good now. I think they settled in now in Dubai, and I hope you guys are doing well, Dennis. And shout out to you, brother. Love you. But him and I have talked periodically as well. We're gonna do some content together. I think I'll be on his channel soon, and he'll be on this channel eventually as well once we can figure out the time zone as well and all that. But so stay tuned for that. A lot of cool things coming for you guys. But today, I wanted to get into something real quick. I'm gonna get into some little NFL talk in the back end of the show. Um, Kwame Brown, my man Kwame Brown, who was a big inspiration to me doing this show, and helped me. When I went out and did my first episode almost 2 years ago, it was April 2nd, 2022. That wasn't planned that day, but I knew God was calling me to do it finally, to go out and tell the world, what I had been through. It's my most popular video I've ever done. Joseph Lappin, where I've been. Um, I Kwame coming out the year before when all that stuff happened, when guys called out his name, and he went and did that. One of his probably his maybe his still his most famous episode was when he really came out, like for the first time people really started seeing him on YouTube, and cleared all the air and called out a lot of stuff. That way was like in May of 21. That really inspired me. It helped me to motivate me more to do this show, my own podcast, to come out and tell my story. Because I had the idea of doing it because I was away for so long, and I felt God was leading me to share my story. Watching Dennis, and and watching some other guys as well out there that were really inspired me and have actually been good mentors of mine. Um, I needed to see somebody do it because I didn't know how to do it. I was 20 something years old at the time, 21. And Kwame was the guy that really paved the way for a lot of guys like myself. And so I really appreciate that, Kwame. Thank you if you see this. But um, yeah, I mean, he really is a guy that inspired me. And I just love how raw it really is. He's just a good dude. And, when you listen to him on other podcasts and just how his wisdom and just how down to earth he's just a regular guy. I think him and I actually think alike in a lot of ways, a lot of things just in the world and how we see things, and just by listening to him. Not everything, but that's okay. It's good it's good not to agree with everybody because not everybody's the same. So that makes the world a beautiful place. But um, just listening to him and his wisdom, and again, the other day I'm listening to his podcast. He was reacting to Rasheed Wallace. Was mentioned him on a podcast, and him and Rasheed are good friends. We're ex teammates, and I like Rasheed Wallace a lot. I think he's a really real guy, and I like more of those raw old school athletes. Just listening to them, and I like listening to Garnett and Paul Pierce's podcast when they have like some good guests on. I think those two are a little more that old school mindset. Um, just guys like that. Those are the kind of podcast I listen to. Obviously, Kwame's my favorite to listen to all those former athletes. I think he's the funniest, but also just the most real and raw. And he's not really Kwame don't really care about any of the other hoopla and being Hollywood or any of that shit. He's just a guy on his tractor, uh, living in Georgia and just living life. That's how life should be lived, really. Um, but he had. I'll link this below too. You guys go check out the full episode, and if anybody out there looking for a great, especially people my age, especially young men, if you're looking for somebody to go watch, go subscribe to Kwame's channel if you're not watching him already. He's one of the bigger guys out here, so go subscribe to him if you haven't. If you're looking for something good to watch, but during this podcast though, the other day, he got into like a he kept going on. A lot of times he'll get into like different topics and things, but it all kind of goes together. And towards the end, man, of this, he really started dropping some like real gems, and which he does a lot. So I think there's a channel called Gems for Kwame Brown. So, um, I mean, some real, just incredible wisdom and things that I really agree with. And it just feels great to hear somebody else say it, especially with that kind of platform. And so, my basis over here is helping people with anxiety and depression and mental health, things that I've been through, right? And things I've been working out of even the last year. And so, and I still have my moments now, but I'm able to, it no longer controls me. I'm able to get out of things. It's no longer on top of me. I'm on top of it because of the things I've learned and my healing from the past and my continued healing and by the grace of God and God's plan for my life. But, um, he was really dropping some great things at the end of this. But one of the things that really stood out to me that he said, I'm gonna play an audio clip because I don't want to get copyright or anything, but so fair use. But um, I'll play the audio clip from part of it, and I'll link it below. So I think it should be all right. But um, he was talking about people competing with other people, especially women competing with men and men competing with women, and just kind of how our society just competes with each other nowadays, and just really how it's just a dead end situation, which is exactly what he says as you hear him in a minute. And it really got me to thinking, every time I hear this word competing in society, it's something that we all, I think, can fall guilty or struggle with, or could be um, subjected to because of just the pressure of society nowadays through social media. The pressure, just a lot of pressure nowadays, man. Just that's been the word I've really used a lot of on the show recently with mental health. It's just pressure, because I think pressure from the outside world makes us put pressure on ourselves, and when we put pressure on ourselves, the anxiety and the depression. And what I mean by depression is, well, really the anxiety, the tension, and just the panic can set in because we don't feel like we're living up to those expectations we're putting on ourselves with the pressure. And if we don't live up to the expectations and the pressure gets higher and higher, you can fall into the depression because you start to say, I'm not good enough. I'm the worst person ever. I'm never going to make it. I don't equal. You start comparing yourself to other people that don't really matter. And once you start comparing yourself to the world and other people, that's a dead end situation too, especially for your mental health and your spiritual health and just your overall well being, because you can really go down in a deep, deep hole. And I know that because I've been there. You know, my life complete 180 when I was 15 years old. I had to be taken out of school because of what I was going through. And, I went from having a lot of friends and being around people every day and having this routine and playing ball and having success and doing things for years to all of a sudden now I'm in my house and I can't go anywhere. I have no social life. I just stared at a gray wall every day, and it was just like being in prison. I mean, and it just drove me crazy. And it's took me all these years later to finally get out of it. To finally take steps just to get out and to speak up and to reach out to people and to realize that I'm not alone and to rebuild my community, which I'm doing now. And it's been a process. I mean, I got that deep in a hole. You know what I mean? It was like, and part of me, my story coming back out now since 2 years ago, it's almost like somebody when they get out of prison after a long time, or missionaries when they come back. Missionaries go away for 7 years sometimes, and they come home and they come back home and it's a different way of life than it was 7 years ago, and they have to readapt, readjust. So it's kind of something I've had to work through. But also, if I focus on if I started blaming myself and getting frustrated in a situation, which I have moments, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm 24. There's a lot of things I haven't been able to do in my life yet because of my circumstance. I'm not blaming it on that, but just, it is what it is. I accept what happened and I move forward. It's up to me now to make things happen. So, uh, but, I think a lot of that pressure in society, and when you see people with things that you want, and when we have that flesh within us, we get very greedy at times. We can get selfish. We can get kind of envious. We can get prideful. Our ego gets the best of us. That's really what it is ego. It's our own ego and pride. But if I lean into that, allow myself to stay in that space, I won't be able to do this with you guys. I won't be able to help people. I wouldn't be able to do basic everyday life things because I wasn't able to. I didn't want to leave my house because my agoraphobia, which is another branch of just anxiety, really, and just it's really what it is. Yeah, I was trying to, I was scared to go out in the outside world because I started to believe those labels and started comparing myself to people, that competition and that, or trying to, like Kwame said, competing with other people or, comparing myself to other people. I viewed myself as inferior because I didn't have certain things. But I failed to realize all along was, hey, Joseph, it's not your fault, number one. And number two, God has a different plan for everybody in their life. Number three, who cares what the outside world says? And number four, you know, you have to look at your circumstance and take what's the good from it. And once I realized that I had an opportunity to do something good with where I came from, and seeing other people like Kwame do what he did, seeing people like the anxiety guy, seeing other people out there as well in the internet, and just people in my own personal life in different ways, different aspects of life, um, really helped me to see, like, you know what, maybe this is my calling, this is my purpose. God led me down this road for a reason. But not only did God lead me down this road for a reason, I'm still here. And after all I've made it through, and I went through a lot of hell, which I've explained on the show and different times and different stories I brought up, the things I went through. Um, the fact that I'm still here lets me know that God has a purpose for my life, and also let me help me realize that, um, you know, what why should I be down on myself? Because I have a perfect opportunity in front of me right now. I can where I'm at right now. You're never too late. It's never too late. It's never too early. I think the society with the competing with pressure, we try to put a timetable on everything. I see that a lot of people my age right now, they're just driving themselves crazy. I mean, by the age of 25, I need to be married and have a kid. By the age, by this age, I need to have a house. By this age, I need to do this. By this age, I need to have that. I need to have this income. And it's just like, why? Who are you trying to please? People say, well, it's for myself. I want to do the best for myself. Okay, that's good. I think people should do the best for themselves, but I don't think a lot of people really are doing what they want to do nowadays. I think a lot of people are really just, they're just subconsciously, even if you're not even aware, you're just going along to get along, like Kwame says, and you're just going along with the flow, and you're trying to compete with other people, and the pressure. Why do you think that the divorce rate is so high right now? You imagine what divorce rate's gonna be in 5 years? Because a lot of people like my age even that have gotten married, not all, but a lot of them that have got married in the last, let's say, 3, 4 years, including this year. You know, I heard a number, like, this was, like, in 1980. I think a lot of it was, like, only 60% of marriage, or 60% of marriages at that point, I believe, didn't make it past 9 years. Imagine what it is now. So a lot of people my age getting married now from 20 to 24, they're probably a lot of them are gonna be divorced by the age of 28, 29, 30 years old, and they have to restart life, and they won't know what to do with themselves, and that's where you really get subjected to going down a wrong way mentally and spiritually, and what was it all for? A good time? To post on your social media? To For likes? I mean, what was it for? Did you accomplish anything? Did you yourself as a person do anything that people remember? No. I mean, it's like a mindset. Do you wanna be liked in life, or do you wanna be remembered? Because if you wanna be remembered, if you wanna really leave a legacy behind and do things that are impactful and leave, because anybody can leave something behind. You don't have to have the biggest numbers or the most wealth or any of that crap in the world. Not saying that stuff's bad, but, you don't have to have everything to be someone. Because leaving something behind for other people when you pass, or helping other people, inspiring other people, having an impact on other people's lives, just and letting God work through you, giving Him the glory. That's more important than anything in life. No, nothing's more important than that. And so, trying to compete and worry about other people, that's like me. And I've had to catch myself at times. I'm 24 years old. I just turned 24 in September, coming out of a 7, 8 year, or the 8-year anxiety disorder and agoraphobia. You know, That's like me beat myself, man, just you don't have this yet. You didn't do this yet. You're 24. Oh my gosh, you're really behind. And oh man, people are going to think differently of you. And sometimes it's easy. I catch myself starting to, go that way because of my own, it's not like I have my own desires and things I want in my life. And sometimes I get frustrated because it hasn't happened yet. But uh, I can't allow myself though to go down in that hole like that though. Allow myself to go deep into that lane because it'll just bring me down. And it'll make me feel how I felt in the moments where I was really down and down in a hole. And I don't want to go back to that. And I don't deserve that. And you don't deserve that. So don't do it to yourself either. You know what I mean? Why who cares? I'm 24. God has a plan for my life. And like I said, the only thing that really matters is where I'm at now presently. And I know God has a future for me. And like I said, if God brought me out of that fiery pit I was in, it's almost like I heard somebody say an analogy recently. I think it was Tony Evans, who's one of my favorites. And Tony said, imagine God bringing you out of a fiery pit and he's holding you in the air. And then when you look down, all you see, let's say you're 2,000, 3,000 feet in the air like an airplane. And you look down and all you see is the ground. If you fall, you're dead. But God's holding you. You may not know where you're going. And let's say he's taking you somewhere. He pulled you out of that pit. And you could see the pit at the bottom. If you fall back and you burn. But he's still holding you. He has you. And he has me. And he's taking us somewhere. And just because other people maybe have arrived at a destination or what appears they have, like I said, a lot of those people I was talking about earlier, like my age, let's be honest. A lot of what we see on the internet nowadays is not real. And if you really knew what really people were going through, they act like they're happy, but they're really not. Not all of them. There's people out there, good for them. I'm not hating on nobody. I wish everybody the best. And I hope everybody has, peace and love and prosperity and great life. And um, because I'm very grateful for where I'm at. I hope everybody else has a great life themselves. But I'm just saying, we know we're talking. You guys know what I'm talking about. We know what we see. There's a lot of people out there that are really faking the funk on the internet. And if you really knew, man, I'll tell you this. One thing that's really surprised me in the last 2 years, especially being back out in public now, what I do is just interacting with certain people and also just seeing people from afar and getting to know them a little bit. And as somebody who was away basically for 7 years, not really around people, not really know what was going on with a lot of people, being back around people and just seeing how society is now, it's just very, man, one of the things that really always sticks out to me is that people will put one image out online and portray themselves even in person. They talk a good game. But man, when you start to get to know these people, you find out who they really are. You're kind of like, whoa, like, like there are some real shady, like people that hide out there that are really like you find out. So you're just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. It's like Kwame said. It's like the people Kwame's kind of talk about when I play the audio. People compete with other people. And Kwame says he's like, get the bleep away from them because you're kind of like, yeah. Now, I think I'm not trying to be a pessimist or anything because I think that's something a lot of people could struggle with nowadays because it could be very frustrating. It could be kind of a negative mindset about people and kind of just say, screw the world, but we're not meant to be like that. Not only Kwame, that's not what Kwame is referring to either. But um, you have to set boundaries for yourself, but also you have to just always be you and believe in you and trust in you and bet on yourself and bet that God has a purpose and plan, like I said, but also that He will align you with the right people in your life. And God has slowly weaved out the wrong people in my life out, and He's weaving in the right people. And I could tell because just how I feel, just how I'm growing more. Because community is important. You have to have community. We're meant to be around community. I just read in my daily devotional today. That was part of it was having a great community fellowship. That's why church, maybe finding the right church fellowship is important as believers, or just finding the right group of people that push you, help you grow, and want the best for you. They're not trying to take from you. They're not trying to compete from you. They're not trying to, you know, use you or, eh, that's a lot of problems nowadays, especially with like dating people my age. It's just people just want what they want when they want it now. And so they'll go do anything to use somebody or wreck something or, People, I mean, it's insane what's going on nowadays. So, I mean, people are losing their minds. Um, a lot of times just out of pain too from the past, you know. But back to my main point though, I have a purpose. You have a purpose. So why should we worry about what other people are doing and competing with other people? It's just a dead end situation, like Kwame says, and he's gonna say here in this audio. I need to play this audio. Um, but what's the point? And so I'm gonna get to the audio now. I need also a drink of water too. My throat's a little dry, but shout out to my man Kwame Brown. Go subscribe to him. Bus Life. I think he has a couple. He has Kwame Brown Bus Life 2.0. He has a couple other channels as well. Go subscribe to them all. Like I said, we look at some great content, and especially for young guys like myself. So I'm gonna play this audio real quick though from my man Kwame, and I'll be back in a second.
Challenge don't nothing. There ain't gonna be no growth in being challenged without being challenged. If I don't challenge these muscles and push past the weight that I lifted last week, guess what? It ain't gonna grow. Anything in life, it gotta be a challenge to it. It gotta be a push. And y'all keep staying in these groups and pockets of people that tell you what you want to hear. And that's why it ain't no growth. Y'all looking at the person that tell you the truth and say, he an asshole, he a jerk, he always some name. No, he right. And you need to hear that shit. Yeah, he right, and you need to hear that shit. She right, and you need to hear that shit. You women that's out here competing with men, that's a dead end situation. You men that's out here competing with women, that's a dead end situation. What I would advise you to do in 2024, if you recognize that a woman is competing with a man, get the fuck away from her. If you realize that a man is competing with a woman, get the fuck away from him. And only be around people that are not competing, that are trying to build and grow. That we can't be trying to pull each other. If I'm trying to put the center block over here for it to grow up, for I build this wall, and she pulling the center block out my goddamn hand, we competing. That ain't gonna work. Be around people not that's just so like-minded that they can't tell you the truth, but be around people that's like-minded, but they're not trying to stop you and get in your way from what you're doing. There's people that's in your life right now that's trying to stop you from doing what it is that you're destined to do. I'm telling you, in my life, it's people that's trying to stop me from doing what I'm destined to do. But guess what I'm doing? I'm throwing them bowls like ludicrous. I'm throwing them motherfucking bowls. Not all the way like ludicrous, allegedly, what I heard, but the throw them bowl part. Yeah, y'all get what I'm saying. But anywho,
So yeah, love everything he said there. Awesome stuff. That's why I kind of want to give a lot more context before I played the audio, and kind of my perspective and what my whole point of the show today is. But loved everything he said there. I think the 2 points he added there that I haven't got into yet, or didn't hit on, because I was hitting on more of the competing part and how that can affect someone's mental health. Because you feel like you're constantly being let down, and you start comparing yourself to other people. You're gonna feel that anxiety. You're gonna feel depressed. You're gonna feel down because you're putting expectations and pressure on yourself that are unrealistic and aren't meant for you. And so, but like he also said there too, there's people out there. The world has evil within it, and you know, you're gonna have people out there trying to stop you. And you might have people out there that are trying to stand in your way, like you said. There might be people in my life right now that I'm not even aware of, that are trying to stop me. Maybe there's people out there that don't have the best interest. Maybe they're just act like my friends or act like they like me or whatever. And really, they're at the end of the day, they're just trying to surpass me or to bring me down. I'm just saying hypothetically, but although I trust God's discernment, and I'm able to see things and pick things out. Um, and I've also become a lot better at setting boundaries with people as well. But um, I think like Kwame said, there's people out there right now, maybe in your life, trying to stop you, trying to bring you down. But I would say though, the world, and with the expectations and with the pressure of social media and what's promoted online, what we think is real, what we see through the phone, what we think is, a lot of people's world they see now is what how they see the world is what they see on the phone. That's trying to bring you down too and trying to stop you. Because a lot of it really isn't connected to anything good. There's no connection to anything spiritually in a lot of this stuff. There's no foundation. There's no even if you don't believe in God, you gotta really ask yourself, does any of this stuff really, like, matter? Like, does it really lead to anything good? Has anybody, like, really took off in life by following a lot of this stuff? No, I think that's why you're seeing more anxiety, more depression than more than ever because people don't know who the hell they are anymore because they made their identity the internet, social media, and what the world says, society. And I see so many people that just lost. They look lost. They can have all the money in the world. They can have they can have, the hottest girl, the hottest guy in the world, or drive fancy cars, or live this bourgeoisie lifestyle. But in deep down inside, they're empty. And guess what? Eventually, her or he's going to get tired of them. They're going to throw them to the curb. Or they'll move on to somebody else and replace them. Those cars are going to get old. That money's going to get lower and lower, especially with the economy the way it's going nowadays and inflation. um, you know, who knows what's going to happen? We can't predict what's going to happen in the outside world. Uh, you know, a lot of stuff's just going to wear off eventually. Not everything lasts forever. The only thing that lasts forever is number one, your relationship. If you believe in God, your relationship with Christ, that's eternal. Um, but also, if you have a good relationship, maybe with relationships with people that really care about you, like my family, some of my close friends. Those are the only things that really last forever. Other than that, and eventually, people die, or God calls them home. Really, the only thing we have eternal is God. That's the only thing we have eternal is God and His salvation. And so, a gift of salvation He gave us. And so, with that being said, lean into Him, lean into your calling, lean into your purpose. What is your purpose? What's your like I said, if you don't believe in God, what's your real purpose? What do you really have a desire for? Like, what can you bring to the table to help other people and serve? What can you do for yourself? Do your own thing. Build your own brand. You see what I've done here, and just with the little amount of resources I've had, and just what I've been able to do, and not even at full capacity either because of the stuff I was working through. But I have my own thing now with the real, and I'm growing slowly but surely. You could do the same thing. What I mean, some of you guys might be a little older, maybe where you have a little more capability or um, different passions than I do. I don't know. Like, everybody has something different to bring to the table. You get what I'm saying? Like, all I'm saying is do your own thing. Like, and find out what God's purpose is for your life. What's God's will for your life. I respect people, and I think it's actually more attractive, personally, when people are a lot more independent and do their own thing, and don't really give a shit what anybody else thinks about them or the world. You know what I mean? They just do their own thing. They got their own flow, their own swag, their own purpose in life, and they just keep it moving. Those are the kind of people I want to be around with. You know, when I get married someday, and start being with somebody, that's somebody I want to be with. Somebody that's strong minded, and has their own beliefs, isn't really easily persuaded by the world. You know what I mean? It's just real and honest and open. You know what I mean? Doesn't really. I think a lot of times too, a lot of this stuff nowadays, just people. I mean, listen to the way people talk nowadays. Like, did anybody listen to that? Like when the coach from Washington, um, I was listening to Coach JB's show this morning with Matt McChesney and Darnell Smith. Shout out to them. And they played the audio or the video when the coach from Washington left and he went to Alabama. A couple of the players on the team were doing like a live on Instagram, and they were talking about something like coach didn't tell them, or so they didn't know anything was going on or something. I don't know, which is very common. It happens all the time in the coaching world. I mean, players can dip anytime they want now, so coaches are doing it too. But just that's welcome to college sports now. So especially college football. But anyways, when you listen, but I remember when they were playing the video there this morning. I remember the first thing Matt McChesney said they're listening was just the way the guys talk. I'm not picking on the kids, but just the way they talked. It was like, bruh, like they couldn't even spit out a sentence. Like, it just sounded so, like, the way they were talking, and it's just kind of like, if you listen to the way people talk nowadays, the way people act, the way people look, how they try to appear, it's just so, like, weird. But it just looks very programmed. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's very, like, unauthentic. Like they're trying to betray somebody that they're not. They're trying to portray, they're trying to talk to somebody or be somebody that they're not. And it's just very like doesn't come across good, but also it's just very weird. And that's why I think, like I said, a lot of people don't really know who they are nowadays because they're trying to be somebody they're not, and they're worried about competing with people and putting out this fake lifestyle. It really it looks good on the outside, but if you looked inside, it's empty. There's nothing there. And they didn't. A lot of these people that have all these things, they didn't earn it. They didn't do it. They cheated their way to the process. And how do you respect that? Do you respect cheaters? I don't. I mean, what really lasts and what the stories that really impact people's lives, what people respect, what really are real legacies, are people that do it the right way, and the people that don't cheat the process, and the people that don't, um, you know, don't let people stand in the way or let people bring them down. They always keep moving no matter what happens. People that are believing themselves and have a confidence and have a passion, and they don't give a care. You know what I mean? People that just are real renegades in this world. That's people really want to be around because there's not a lot of it much anymore. It's becoming less and less. But those people are also the happiest people on the planet as well. You know, those people that live like that, people that I've been around, and I can even say for myself, you have more peace. You have more, like, look at Kwame. You have more peace. You have more just confidence in yourself and just more happiness in your life and just more settled and just more, you can grow more spiritually with God. You know what I mean? You can listen to God. If you're not listening to God because you're more focused on the world, it's gonna be hard for you to grow. Um, it's like Kwame said in the beginning of the audio, building each other up, growing. How can you need to push yourself? And that's what a lot of people try. These people don't want to push themselves anymore. They want to get to point A. They want to start. They want to get from the start to the finish line right now. When really there never really is a finish line. Like, what are you trying to? Like I said earlier, what are you trying to accomplish here? Like, do you think people really care? Oh my gosh, look at me! I posted a photo on my Instagram. Look at this. I mean, it's so weird, and like I think it's weird to me because I just think it's so it's not attractive. It's so inauthentic and just you know not what we need. We need more people out there that are really willing to be themselves and to put it out on the line and to kind of stand up and for stand up for themselves, but also more people that really give a shit about other people. If we're really being honest. Because when you start to have that competitive mindset, and you start to have that, you think you may start to build. People may come and kiss your ass, and you may start to get a lot of those likes and follows up. But eventually, as time goes on, people will be able to start to weave out a lot of the BS, and a lot of what you had falls, and it goes away slowly, and you're left with nothing. Because like I said, like I was just saying a couple minutes ago, the people that actually are willing to put the time in and sacrifice and grind and are willing and believe in themselves and are true to themselves, those are the people that really prosper in life and really get somewhere. But also, those are the people that are the healthiest, especially mentally. You know, I didn't overcome anxiety. I don't think Dennis overcame anxiety. I don't think Kwame lives the life. He and Kwame was for 20 years. They said he was a bust and all this stuff and lied about him in the media. Didn't have a voice. Um, you know, put out this horrible image about him. As a kid that was born in 1999, I thought that's all I viewed Kwame Brown as. I thought he was just some bust, some bum basketball player because that's what I was told by the TV growing up as a little kid that didn't really know until I got older. And he came out and I was able to see the truth and see that okay, this is all BS. That he was really just put in a horrible situation, and a lot of these people in the media were using him for different agendas. But that's a whole other story. But um, you know, it's just crazy though. But he never gave up on life, and look at him now. You know what I'm saying? Like if you would have saw me when I was 15 years old, when I came out of what I was going through at that time, here I am now. And the school I left at that time, I didn't go back there ever until recently in the last month. And you know what that feeling was like when I went back there finally and looked at the whole uh, building and just sat there for a minute? Well, look at me now. I made it through all that shit, came out of there, what I had to go through there, and what I came out of now. in the last 7 years. Here I am now. Look where God has me now. And look what I'm capable of doing, what I'm going to be doing here down the road. Nothing's stopping me now. Didn't stop me then. Didn't stop Kwame. Didn't stop Dennis. Don't let it stop you. And we need to stop competing with other people because that's what's it's gonna stop you, and it will hinder you, and it'll bring you down in a place that you don't belong. Yeah, you may get a lot. You may get by a little bit. You may have a little fun here and there for a little period, year or two, couple months. I don't know, but eventually it stops. And what's sad is though, this is why I kind of really feel bad for a lot of people, especially a lot of people I've been around. I've gotten to know in the last year, couple years, or whatever. Just people I've seen in my whole life. It's really sad because it really started with just a lot of people, these people nowadays have things done wrong to them, or maybe they went through some hard things growing up, or something happened that just triggered them. And unfortunately, a lot of people, like let's say, for example, like a lot of people when they get heartbroken by somebody, a lot of times about like a year, I remember Joey Diaz said this, and I think he's 100% right. He said on Joe Rogan's podcast within the last year. A lot of times when people get heartbroken, they turn very promiscuous like a year later. Like it's like a rebellion almost, and they're just trying to cope with their pain. And that's what a lot of people are doing nowadays. They're just trying to cope with their pain, but they're doing it in a wrong way. And when that wears off, they're gonna be in an even deeper hole than they were to begin with. And now you're older, you're 28, 39, 30, and like I said earlier, you got to restart life. And so I hope you guys take something from this message today about believing in yourself and not competing with others, because what really is a recipe for a lot of anxiety and depression nowadays is the competing with each other. And just like Kwame said, laid out, and just we're not trying to build each other up. We're not trying to push ourselves. We're trying to be comfortable. We're trying to cheat the process. We're trying to, you know, try to be somebody that we're not. And it just leads to more problems for you. And so I hope you guys take something from this podcast today, from this message. Um, Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Before I get out of here, though, I want to hit on an NFL topic real quick. I want to hit on my Browns. Um, so let me get into this real quick. So the Browns are predicted to pursue $74 million rival wide receiver T. Higgins. You remember Mike and I brought this up on our show recently. Um, I think the Browns, they need to do this. I know the other day on our live, we kind of got into it. And, I was pretty much talking about um, on our live the other night after the game, we were questioning whether is Kevin Stefanski the guy that can get them over the hump to win the Super Bowl. And I like Kevin. I think Kevin did a hell of a job this year. I'm not saying they're going to fire Kevin. I'm not saying I would even fire Kevin. It's just but it is very tempting though, because you have a guy out there like Jim Harbaugh, who ownership is liked, available. Although I think he's probably going to the Chargers, but he is available. You got Vrabel out there. I think he's a great coach. Hell, you even got Belichick out there. I mean, um, I think my problem with Kevin, I don't say a problem, but my concern, what I saw the other day was a team that just didn't look like they knew how to win. They looked very unprepared, and they lost to a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback, and that's kind of concerning to me. But and it's not that they lost, how they lost even too. They looked very unprepared and just I don't know. I know people they want to. Everybody's saying it's just we just had a bad day. The injuries caught up, blah blah blah. But they were favored in that game, and a lot of people we had high expectations going into this playoff for a reason. So I think they need to. They're here. I'm not saying fire. Sometimes you shouldn't fire. Like I don't even know if the Cowboys should fire McCarthy. I know a lot of people are saying fire McCarthy, but I think at some point you just got to figure it out from within. And I think that's probably where the Browns are. They need to figure this out from within. I think Andrew Barry needs to get to work offensively and get some receivers in here like T. Higgins, or somebody. Maybe Terry McLaurin would be a great name. Scary Terry. Shout out Ohio State alum. But they got to figure it out. They got to figure it out from within. Now they do. I think they can because they have a guy like Jim Schwartz in the building who has won. They got players in the building who have won Super Bowls. So they have guys that know how. And I think Kevin, what makes a great coach, in my opinion, is their ability to the staff they build around them, and he's done that. So I think that's proven this year. by the way, through all that they went through, all the things they went through, they're still made it to the playoffs and they made it how far they made it. And just unfortunately, they just laid an egg in the first round. So I think they got to figure it out from within. I think definitely going and getting another receiver is a must. So that's my take on that. I want to hit that real quick though, because I saw that yesterday with T. Higgins. So I want to hit on that real quick because we brought that up on this show as well. T. Higgins, also former college teammate of Deshaun Watson, who will be back next year as a starting quarterback. You have Nick Chubb back as well. Your line will be held. You have Dewan back, Jed back. You'll even have Conklin back as well. So they'll be a lot healthier next year. Grant will be fully healthy. Um, I think they got to get another linebacker. They got to really go all in though. They need to keep pushing and going all in. They need to go out and if you can get a T Higgins, you can go get another receiver, get it done. They need to be they need about 4 or 5 deep there at that receiver room. This year they were at times they were only 1 deep. So outside of Mario Cooper, it was very up and down. And I think David Njoku evolving to taking that next level this year to that elite status this year has obviously helped because he's a receiver basically. I mean for tight end, and his yak is unbelievable yards after the catch. So um, they got to figure it out though. They need to go all in, and they need to figure it out from within. You can't just say, "Oh well, if we get healthy, we'll come run it back." Now I think they need to keep. They built that culture a lot more better. Built that culture up more this year, but they need to really build it up now more before they get to the postseason next year, because that can never happen. That can never happen. That is unacceptable, and it shouldn't be acceptable to a lot of fans either. I hear a lot of fans say, "Well, injuries and just chalking it up," and I'm just like, "Listen, man, that's not winning culture attitude. If you're just satisfied making it to it's like I kind of was talking about earlier in my message today. If you're just satisfied just being kinda, I mean, along the same lines, if you're just kinda satisfied just, going along and getting along and kinda like Kwame says. But no, I mean, just like if you're just satisfied just being average and just, making the wild card and, woohoo and getting bounced in the first round, I mean, that's not we shouldn't accept that. We have to go all in right now. This roster has to win right now. David Njoku's 27. Myles Garrett, I think, is around the same age. You have guys under contract. I don't think just because guys are under contract, they won't. If they lose again next year, that they won't dip. These guys nowadays, you saw what happened with. Look at Jonathan Taylor. Okay, you want to pay me? I'll just sit out. Guess what the Colts did? Well, we need you, so we'll pay you. We'll pay you. um, you know what I mean? Don't. If people think that, then I think you're crazy. You really don't understand professional sports. Um, because guys, especially not only say professional sport, you understand the modern uh how it is nowadays, and you can just see it. Like they have to go all in. You have to be aggressive. You have to win. Guys like Miles Garrett and other guys who need to step up their play um, in those games. They're not going to be satisfied with just this, and the fans shouldn't either. So just saying, "Oh, it was a great year." There's always next year. That's a bad mentality to have. We need to go all in. It needs to be done now. Like they have to win now. You have opportunities and things available in front of you. That's why we presented the question the other day. You have to evaluate everything. We evaluated the head coach the other night. And some guys said if we can get Harbaugh, they would do that because they feel like they have to win now. And then it sounds crazy because Stefanski's probably win coach of the year, but again, who's going to get us to the mountaintop now? You have to win now because this is about you have about a 2-3 year window at most, so you have to win right now. So because the NFL stands for not for long. So, but that's my take on that. And like I said, I appreciate all you guys today. Love all you guys. Shout out to Kwame Brown. Shout out to Dennis Simpson, the anxiety guy. Go subscribe to their channels. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Love all you guys. Subscribe, like, subscribe. Ugh, if I could talk. Subscribe, like, and share. And leave a comment below today. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on how this message related to you and how maybe share your wisdom down in the comment section. Let's grow together. We need to um, talk more together. And also go subscribe to my buddy Dan Malott, who's a contributor to the show on our Sunday lives. Dan and his daughter Kylie are starting a podcast called Girl Dad Podcast, where they're going to share some of their, you know, it's going to be a great show for, basically for fathers with daughters, but also just fathers in general. I think my dad and sister are going to be appearing on it soon. Um, So, guys, go subscribe to that. I'll link that down below. Go boost their channel up. Let's get them going. They'll have content out soon. And, that was another thing, going back to what I said earlier about my purpose. I got a text from Dan last night when he broke the news and told me about it and said, about coming on here and watching my show. It's inspired him to do it. So that really means a lot to me, Dan. I appreciate that. And again, that was also another confirmation of why, again, I'm going to my message today, purpose and why I do what I do. So I hope you guys do the same, because look what can happen anywhere you are. So, and I'm sure Dan will do the same for somebody else and just keep passing that along. So go subscribe to them. It's gonna be a great show, great podcast coming up there. It's great content, especially for fathers and daughters. So, yeah, go subscribe to them. And then, yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Gone.